So you look right at me, and right in here, I should say.
Okay.
And my first question is, who are you, and what's your relationship with the Fredericksburg Rescue Squad?
My name is Steve Elliott, and I am a life member with the Fredericksburg Rescue Squad. My journey with them started in 1977 as a junior rescue squad member when we had a really active junior rescue squad. I progressed and got my EMT. I was 15 years old when I walked in the door here, and got my EMT in 1979. It was late 77 when I arrived, and then became a senior rescue squad member when I turned 18 in 1980, and got my cardiac technician, which at that point was our ALS technician, in 1981, and was an active member through 1995 when I took a job over in Charlottesville, Virginia, as a flight medic with the University of Virginia Pegasus Flight Operations, and moved over there. But basically, Fredericksburg Rescue Squad is what got me started in EMS.
Why did you walk through that door when you were 15? What did you think was going to be here that was meant for you?
Well, I had an interest in EMS. I was an emergency child, and the TV show Emergency, I watched that, and I was drawn to it. So I was looking for adventure. I was looking for a future career with the training involved, but I was also looking just to be part of something special. And at that time, Fredericksburg Rescue Squad was a very large organization that covered a very large area in Fredericksburg. So it was an honor, and I'm sure still is, to be an active member of that organization.
Has this lived up to, you said you wanted adventure, you wanted a special organization. How did that experience live up to your expectations?
Oh, it lived up to and exceeded my expectations. Very fortunate that I not only got a lifelong group of friends and great training, I also got a career out of this. In 1983, while I was still here in Fredericksburg, I got hired as a city firefighter. We went through a transition in the fire department where we began to do emergency medical service response to support the rescue squad, and so I was able to use my skills there. And then I was able to move on, and I got my paramedic in 1991 at Virginia College, or Virginia Commonwealth University, known as MCV then. And 2 years later, I was offered a job on the flight crew with the helicopter out of the University of Virginia, known as Pegasus. So it exceeded my expectations in many ways. The other way that I would never have expected was right in this room. I looked across this room one night and saw a new member who turned out to be my wife. Now, of the last 31 years, I met my wife here. And so my family grew out of here. We have 3 grown children, 1 grandchild, and who would have ever expected that would have occurred by joining the rescue squad in 1977. She was an EMT here and an EMT instructor, and we just hit it off, and we were married. Actually rode to our reception in a brand new Fredericksburg Rescue Squad ambulance that was not in service yet. Because we were married here in town, it was just a short little ride. And so I got a career, I got a wife, I got a family, both my rescue squad family and a real family of 3 beautiful children and a grandchild.
You got pictures of that?
I do.
Wedding day pictures?
I do,
I'll
actually.
need those eventually.
Okay.
Well, I'll get them through Steve and we'll figure it all out. That's a great story.
I do. I was stepping out of the ambulance in the back of, or in middle of Caroline Street in June from the Fredericksburg Rescue Squad ambulance.
Tell me a little bit about, do you remember your first call by chance?
My first call was actually was an inhalation call in an industrial plant down in off of Central Road in Fredericksburg. I can't remember. I think I was riding with Wink Thompson, and he was a senior member, and I can't remember who else it was, but they were mixing a chemical, and someone inhaled it and had difficulty breathing, so we went down there, and that was probably one of my first calls that I remember, riding the ambulance. And I laugh about that now because we went on the ambulance and picked the person up before we knew a lot about hazardous materials, and that would have brought a whole different response nowadays. Took them to the hospital. But to my knowledge, that was my first call that I responded to.
Are there any memorable ones for good or bad that stick out?
I thought about that coming up here as I drove from my home in Fluvanna near Charlottesville. And I actually drove through the scene of one really memorable one that was out near Lake of the Woods, which is 18 miles west of here. We were added to a call out there that was a auto accident on the Spotsylvania County, Orange County line, and we were added to assist. We responded out there, and it was a head-on collision right on Route 20 after you turn off of Route 3. I arrived, there were several people entrapped in a pickup truck, actually 3 people. We proceeded to get one of the people out of the truck while the crews from Lake of the Woods Rescue were working on the couple that was trapped in the other truck. As we were working on the 2 people in the other truck, I looked, and one of the firefighters, who was an older gentleman leaning against the fender of one of the wrecked trucks, slid down the fender and collapsed in cardiac arrest. So I reached him first and started CPR on him, and one of the other medics from Lake of the Woods Rescue Squad retrieved what was then called the Life Pack 5. It was one of our early cardiac monitors. And we did CPR. We were able to shock his heart twice, and on the second shock, he almost jumped back up because it was such a quick cardiac arrest. But he had gone into cardiac arrest right there, and we were able to resuscitate him. We had another patient. He was transported and ended up having bypass surgery, but survived. And survived because he was at the scene of that accident while we were working extricating. And then we proceeded to have to extricate the other 2 people that were entrapped in the pickup truck, a man and wife, and one of them was flown to the University of Virginia with serious injuries on Pegasus, who I eventually later ended up working for. That's probably the positive one that I remember, just because it happened so quickly and we had such a good outcome. The other call that really sticks in my mind from this is I wasn't too long brand new cardiac technician medic, and we got a call to the Fredericksburg Fairgrounds one night, and it was for a young female with a gunshot wound to the head. Reported self-inflicted. We arrived down there, and she was still in the front seat of the car. I was able to get in the car and get her out. And then with the crew with me, we had 2 ambulances responded. We were able to begin working on her. We got an airway in her. We got her vital signs back to what would be called stable, but to where they would support life. We transported her to Mary Washington Hospital, and that was at a time before we had helicopter services. That was 1981. So we briefly stopped at Mary Washington and had her evaluated by a physician. They did a few more procedures, and the same crew that I was with, we just continued right on to the Medical College of Virginia, transporting her. So we were with her for several hours from the time of patient contact to the time we delivered her to Medical College of Virginia. We picked up a nurse at Mary Washington to go with us to assist in the back. She was mortally injured, unfortunately, but by being able to provide that care and getting her resuscitated so quickly, we found out later they were able to, the family graciously donated her organs. She was a young woman, and out of that, probably 7 or more people gained life out of that from the donated organs. And from just starting in the middle of the Fredericksburg Fairgrounds on a hot summer night to all the way to Richmond, that one probably sticks with me the most.
Thanks for sharing that, Steve. People have called this a family. People use the term camaraderie, brotherhood. You describe this place for me and the people within it in your time here.
Well, when I came here as a 15-year-old, I'd lost my father at a young age. And that's one reason that I was drawn toward this. I was 11 when he collapsed of a heart attack and died at home. And actually this organization responded and attempted to resuscitate him, transported him. Those were the days before we had paramedics, too. So that probably drew me to here. But as a 15-year-old arriving, I instantly had a bunch of older brothers, some older sisters, some moms and dads, So I had a family that took this 15-year-old and really helped me grow some. And I grew into hopefully a good young adult. I had a lot to learn, but they guided me. And then I became part of the family. And as I got older, I think I then developed brothers and sisters, and younger people came in, and I was able to step into some mentoring role. I've been gone here a while, obviously, because I moved to a new job, but I was able to see some young people come in and develop into excellent providers. There are people here that are my brothers and sisters, as I would call them, that we became very close, a lot because of the calls like I just described that we dealt with. But we also had a lot of good times. We always had a picnic during the during the summer, and some Christmas dinners, and we had family camaraderie there. And it just grew into a group that I have had association with this organization since 1977, and I still have close relationships with people since then. It truly is a lifelong family.
What do you think it means to this community? I mean, from 1940-something all the way up to now. What do you think this organization means to this community?
I think it's a source of pride for this community that it's had an organization that's had people willing to volunteer for so many years to provide service to the community. And this was one of the first rescue squads in the state of Virginia, one of the largest ones, and actually helped to form rescue squads throughout the state. Even where I live over now in Charlottesville, the rescue squad there was formed in 1960 with advice and support from this organization. So to this community, this organization is really a bedrock of the community. It's part of it, and always has been, and I think even with the changes that we've seen, there's been a lot of changes in emergency response. People don't have as much time to give, but they still have people that are willing to give, and this community looks at this, sits in the center of town, and it's almost a historic place in the middle of a town, in a town full of history.
Is there anything when you drove over here, you had an hour and 20 minutes to think about it.
Right.
Is there anything you wanted to get across?
Just that this was, you never expect to walk through a door in 1977 and have an organization have so much impact on your entire life from that point forward, and this has. And what I want to get across is that, first of all, there's people here that I love as brothers and sisters and family members, and I still to this day do. And it's also the value of walking in to volunteer in something that's really the unknown, and the relationships that you can get out of it are long-lasting and really phenomenal. And I am blessed, truly blessed, to have been part of this. I realize as I come back here and sit today and talk with you about it.
What else, Steve? Anything else? Okay. Anything else, Steve?
No, I think that's it.
You're wonderful. You're awesome. That was fantastic.
Yeah.